Ms. Rachel Ong.
Madam Deputy Speaker, my speech will focus on our single women who serve as informal caregivers for our seniors, their challenges and how we can show up meaningfully for them. In conversations with single women caregivers, a major challenge shared is their retirement inadequacy. This stems from three sources. First, reduced unpaid work. Caregivers face difficulties holding down a full-time job while still providing care for the seniors, especially in households where the load of caregiving falls entirely on one person. Duke NUS and MSF surveys illustrate that caregivers spend an average of 36 to 38 hours a week on caregiving, depending on the level of needs. Almost half of the caregivers surveyed do not hold a job, and those who do, 26% had their work affected by caregiving. Those interviewed in AWARE's 2019 survey either cut down work hours or stopped work together. These work changes negatively impact the caregiver's own retirement adequacy as CPF contributions are stopped or reduced. Given that most caregivers are 45 to 59-year-olds, an age where they could be economically productive and be able to save up for retirement, the financial impact is significant. Second, lower overall income of women. The negative impact on retirement savings is compounded by the fact that women also generally earn less than men in their working life. The 2018 MOM statistics also showed that women greatly outnumbered men in not being able to hit the CPF basic retirement sums at age 55 and at the same time have a longer life expectancy. Third, home ownership policies. One of the ways Singapore enhances old age income security is through the home ownership program. In their senior years, married couples have the option of downgrading their HDB flats for retirement income. However, this is not an option for singles who are already limited to buying higher price resale or two-room BTOs in non-mature estates or in prime locations. In short, singles, specifically women, expend their financial resources on care for their parents and face financial challenges in their later years for their own care with little to at times no family support. May I make 4 suggestions to mitigate the negative financial impact on single women caregivers? First, top up of CPF from family members to caregivers. The government could consider supplementing caregiver CPF contributions from the care recipient parent's CPF. For those who qualify for the Medisave care recipients can be given the option for the monthly cash amounts to be transferred to the caregiver's CPF instead of their bank account. This can be done where children have been ascertained to be caregivers of a specific parent to receive a monthly transfer from the latter. There could also be an option for siblings who have met the basic retirement sum to top up their caregiving siblings' CPF, incentivized with an enhanced caregiver support tax relief beyond current amounts for the contributions made or complemented with greater subsidies for the parents' care services. The second suggestion, healthcare subsidies based solely on household income. Having understood the concerns of some of my residents, I'd like to propose a consideration for MOH relating to care recipients staying in properties of AV 13,000 and above. In MOH current means testing approach, even if the household income qualifies the recipient for subsidy, but the care recipient stays in a private estate, where AV is very likely to be above 13,000, no subsidy will be given to him or her. The rationale behind this is that if the senior sells their private property and moves to a HDB unit, they then should have sufficient income for healthcare costs. However, this means that the senior would then, in their old age and ill health, have to move and adapt to a new environment, possibly away from the environment and the people they are familiar with. In addition to ongoing caregiver responsibilities, the single caregiver will have to figure out the sale, search, and purchase of a home and make arrangements for the move. These stresses add on to the stress of change in health and care needed both for the caregiver and recipient. If access to subsidies requires seniors to move their homes in order for caregivers to access subsidies, it will also go against the grain of encouraging aging in place. For care recipients with property AV of beyond 13,000, when the care recipient no longer needs to stay in the property, proceeds from the sale or rental of property could then be returned to the government as part of the agreement to receive subsidized care. This will help alleviate the immediate financial burdens of caregivers, ensure that government subsidies are sustainable while truly supporting seniors to age in place. The third suggestion, workplace support for single caregivers. Childcare leave should be converted to a more general family care leave to include those who are caregivers of parents, particularly single caregivers who have limited help. The number of family care leaves for such singles should be mandated by law instead of simply encouraging employers to provide for it. While flexible work arrangements have been raised as a viable alternative, mandatory family care leave can still be added to complement flexible work arrangements in the same way that parents are still entitled to take childcare leave even when on flexible work arrangements. Extended family care leave should also be considered for those who have parents with dementia or conditions that require greater support. The fourth suggestion, compensating and recognizing caregivers. I'm encouraged to hear that the home caregiving grant will be further enhanced. I believe we can still take a greater stride to support caregivers given their significant loss of income by providing a calibrated monthly caregiving allowance with CPF contributions for those who have reduced work or stopped work to be caregivers. Caregiving involves many out-of-pocket expenses, from medical supplements to transportation for medical appointments to medical and mobility aids. These costs are even more significant for those who are disqualified from subsidies due to the AV of the care recipient's property. Caregiving allowance is not meant to be an income replacement, but an allowance to support these out-of-pocket care expenses in caregiving and also basic personal subsistence without disincentivizing work. Instead of hiring FDWs for the work of caregiving, if children choose to give of them time and effort to do so, our policies should encourage it. Various OECD countries have formulated ways in which caregivers can be compensated, whether via allowances or care recipient benefits, which we can study to formulate one suitable and sustainable for Singapore. The dedication of our singles to care for our seniors should be recognized and advanced in tangible ways, with policies that facilitate building a retirement safety net for them. I look forward to sustainable changes the government would make to better support our single women caregivers financially, both in the immediate and long term. Madam Deputy Speaker, I support the motion.